and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Alok Jain from Jiostar to the stage.
Thank you, everyone. While they put up the presentation, a few years back, when I joined the media industry, I came from a very different space, industrial goods, consumer durables, and so forth. And over the last few years, something which has intrigued me and excited me, two things specifically. One, that the media industry is just not FMCG, it's an ultra FMCG. We spend inordinate amount of time in making a content, and it takes years of effort and more than that at times, and then consumer watch it, and in a split of second, they decide whether they like it or not like it, right? And the future of the hard work, which most of the people in this room here do over a long period of time, gets decided in a matter of minutes, or the first show which comes in the theaters and so forth. And in today's world of digital, where people decide to watch a content after happening to know the feedback, the reviews and so forth, it is far more ultra FMCG. That is one thing which has excited me and intrigued me. And the second thing which has been exciting for me is that the probability of success of any content piece is so tiny. I remember my conversation when I joined Star, that I always want to be a risk taker, and I believed when I was told that this industry is about having a low probability of success, so you have all the opportunities to try new things. I was very excited, and these two things, in spite of these two things, the only way, in my opinion, the industry can move forward is by being bold. In the light of that as well, it's very important that we remain bold and fearless in order to drive this industry forward. And what I see today is that there's an opportunity for us to innovate more, and hence I thought it's important that I share my perspective. The way I see this of being bold is because there is a huge headroom for us to innovate. And there are some challenges, some headrooms which we are seeing which is curtailing our boldness. One, I think there is a big phenomena at times in our thinking that I am the world phenomena. Recently, Shailesh from Ormax has put in an interesting piece of article saying 49% of the content on the OTT is stories based in Delhi and Bombay, which is so true. In fact, same was my observation. It's just not the OTT, but I feel in any other medium, be it the television, be it the cinemas, I think there are more stories which are based on few places. And because we all run this thinking of I am the world, what we see around us, among us, our friends, our family, and people who talk to us, who reach out to us, is what the real world is, but that's not true. Second is that we have mistakenly assumed that the only way of making a great content in future is by making what has worked in past. Unfortunately, certainly past is extremely relevant, exciting for us to understand what's working, what's not working, but our industry is like this, that past will not always define the future. We will have to take a big leap of faith in order to move forward. Third thing, I think somehow, as I realize, and many of the things which I'm saying here, perhaps we as an organization and I as a person is also guilty of running these headwinds and challenges. The third piece which I see is that somehow we have created these entry barriers around us which prohibit and makes it extremely difficult for anyone new who has a great creative voice to come and pitch a great piece of content. I was just in the morning meeting a bunch of people who came in, and one of the guys said, he's sitting here, and one of the guys said that I do not know how to reach to you. I think what we have done as an industry is that we have created these entry barriers, and the ecosystem has become small, when we today see that every content consumer is also to a certain extent is a creator, right? We see that technology platforms have made democratized content making. If you have an expression, if you have a creativity in you, if you have a skill, you can become a creator, and obviously the scale and other things will come as we move forward. But at the third headwind or the challenge which I see, which prohibit us in becoming bold. And then I think we cannot have this conversation without talking about the economics, because somewhere or the other, we have made a definition that big means big budget only. But I think I understand that all good things are expensive, but all expensive things are not good. So it's very, very critical for us to look at beyond budgets only. And what happens when the economics is in the favor like this, where everything is very expensive, it curtails innovation. Because if you require a lot of money to do something new, you will not be able to innovate. So I think that's where I see, and these are very internal looking challenges I see. It is something which for us to see, because India as a country is an amazing country, and that story, I think no one in this, I'm extremely bullish on India. Ever since I've traveled around and came back to India, and I really came back to India because I thought in the next couple of decades, in this world, India will be amazing, and I'm very bullish on India. And in the same light, all the challenges which I mentioned are internal, because India as a story is amazing. India is a nation of 1.4 billion people, where approximately 60% of population is under 35. It's as diverse, with so many states, so many union territories, so many languages and dialect, that the scale along with the diversity is amazing. And when we look at just not the media industry, but we also look at any other category, be it mobile data. We talk about India is the largest e-commerce market, third largest. The UPI transactions, the digital public goods have completely transformed how Indian economy moves. We look at the FMCG market. It's been on the top of the radar for any of the FMCG companies. It's the third largest auto market. The kind of startup ecosystem India has, it's among the top 5 largest ecosystem, with so many unicorns coming up, right? And similarly, when we look at the entertainment, TV market, TV is still like amazing space, while the Western world believes differently, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. We still have the largest TV viewer base. We have highest movie production. We have 500 million streaming streaming users on any platform. So India's scale is so large, diversity is so large, and this is powered by entertainment, which plays a big role. 200,000 hours of content, original professionally generated content is made. And in the first session today, it was showed that 190,000 hours of original content is made for television. So you can do the percentage about it. It's around 95% of the content is made by the television in this country still, and there are a lot more pieces. And along with that, this content drives some 2 trillion hours of consumption, screen consumption, cutting across all the screens, TV, digital, social media. So what we see from this is that India as a story is amazing, and we as a nation has a creative powerhouse, and we need to leverage it by addressing our own issues, challenges. And when I look at a little bit of fast forward around these pieces, I think there is amazing opportunity of growth across the screens. Television, OTT, and cinema. I think most people have some myths around it. I want to take this opportunity today to share my perspective on this. See, I think no one debates too much about whether digital is growing or not, because I am the world phenomena, exists in this room with me and many of us here. We all think that all our friends and family nearby always talk about digital, so hence digital is growing. I think there's no denying the fact, and digital growth will be amazing, so I'm not going to, there's no dispute. However, there are big 2 pieces which I want to talk about, which is one is people talk, no one watches TV anymore, and theaters are dead, right? When we look at the TV is no one watches TV more, but still there are 190,000 hours of content which is made for TV. There are 850 million viewers tune in on the linear TV every month, right? It's not cool, you know, sometimes many of us as content makers, we don't find it cool to make content for TV, but TV is the bedrock. TV is a bedrock. It's driving the economic engine of the industry. And if I talk about how the content is consumed, there are 3 hours of content every day people consume, and which is far more in South, and but that's how, which is 4x of the OTT consumption. So hence, in my and also when I look at some of the data of viewership in last 17 years, as per the BARC data, the TV viewership is constant. We believe TV is dying, TV is not dying. Whether it's growing, not growing, absolutely understandable. Is it because of the consumer behavior or because of what we are doing? That certainly can be discussed, but it's not dying. And I just want all of us here to have this takeaway that TV is not dead. People watch TV. You go to the I Am the World, outside the boundary of I Am the World, you will find that people watches TV. On the cinema, I think recently, just now before this panel, there was a discussion on Saira. If we as industry make great content, great movies, people come to theaters, right? And these are the 4 classic examples I have picked up, but there are many more. Once you make a great piece of content, people will come to the theater. Saira is absolutely someone no one expected. I think none of us here would have expected that this movie will be such a big hit. Chhawa did such a great number on the box office. Kantara, coming from the South market, did phenomenal in the North market. And similarly, the Manjumal Boys movie from the Kerala market did phenomenal in the market. So if we make great content, if we are bold enough, the cinema is also not dead, and people will come to the theaters. Obviously, the challenge is more. The content has to be exciting. People do the review check before coming to the theater. So all those challenges there, but it's not dead. And it's all these consumption is here to stay in my mind, because what we saw, India is a young country. It has diversity. The consumption behavior is high. Data cost is low. People are wanting to consume content. They need to entertainment. They need inspiration. They need escapism. So they need all this, and hence it's very important that, and all this will be, hence it's important that we look into these things, and all this consumption is going to stay, and it's going to be driven by the screens, big screens, theaters, small screens, television, connected televisions, and so forth. It will also be driven by the exciting piece of stories we do. It's just not about big budget movies. 12th Fail is a classic. Another interesting example, Lapata Ladies. There are lots of examples. I'm sure people in the room will have created some of these and been a part of the journey of those content pieces. Amazing. And besides that, as we mentioned, that the creators, the consumer is a creator. This picture is of Nancy Tyagi, and creative people can come from any side of the country, and we need to be more open. It will be hard work, because if you lower the guards down, lower the walls around, a lot more people will come. You will have to filter through those pieces, but that's the effort we as an industry need to make. So the world is watching India, and we must give them more than just the volume, right? It's important. The quality is a big deal for us. And it requires that the innovation is done across the value chain, just not only on one part, but in terms of consumer understanding, in terms of content, storytelling, how we make the story, what kind of budgets we work, what kind of, how we produce the content, how we market it, and also how we leverage the technology. I think we just now, before this session, we discussed about the opportunity we have in front of us to leverage AI. Gen AI to make, and Gen AI is a tool, as Nikhil was mentioning earlier. It's a tool. It's not going to replace. It's just going to aid us doing a better job, being more efficient around it. And I think all that opportunity lies in front of us in order to disrupt and innovate the value chain. I just also want to share that while we think about these pieces, and I want to share this, I also want to express that we at Jiostar take this responsibility with huge excitement, pride, and humility, that if we are the largest broadcaster, we are the largest digital platform, and also this content studio, which is one of the largest content studio, it's our responsibility that whatever I've just said, that we put into action to the best of our efforts. And I want to, and we are very, very cognizant about that. We feel that as we see that knowing the problem is a big start, we understand that there's an opportunity for us and we want to do many things, and the way we see is that we are attempting to live this every day, and there are three things which we are wanting to do. A, we want to have bold in form, bold in voice, but deeply rooted. And there are three key mantras which we are attempting to work on. One, A, we need to be extremely closer to our consumer. We need to have a customer first or a consumer first approach. We need to have champion fresh voices, and we need to think and see screen agnostic. So just to give a little sense on what we have done, and maybe we will talk about as we move forward about what we will be doing moving forward. We have, as an organization, attempted to be consumer first. The shows which you see here are only the successful shows, but obviously behind every success there are many shows which have not gone well. Obviously the shows which do well get the screen time. We have done Tali, which is about the LGBT. We have done a lot more other content in the LGBT community. We did a show on colors called Shakti. We have done in Big Boss we have contestants in order to bring a new fresh perspective around the space. We have looked at social truths, like Mega Barsange was a show which was launched on the abandoned NRI wives in Punjab. Roadies, which is most of us would have known in our relatively younger age. We are still young. But over last 20th season of the Roadies was recently completed. And in 20 years, the show has been a heartthrob of the young people. 20 years ago, also young people used to like the show. Even people are excited about the show now. This is one of the largest, among the topmost, most watched show on the Jiostar. And the show has remained relevant because the show has always innovated and remained very closer to the consumer, right? So that is a one big deal, and we are looking forward to put together many more pieces of content, which are driven by consumer first approach. Second, we mentioned about that it's important that bold stories demand bold storytellers, and even if they haven't been heard yet, we have this habit, and we all are guilty about it, and I feel that it's important that we take this responsibility. We ask people when someone pitches, we have this phenomena of asking people a question, what have you done before, right? I think that's sometimes for a new person, it's a that puts the person in a very defensive moment. We need to little pause and think that, are we going to bet more on the past glory and the experience, or we are going to bet more on the potential the person carry? Obviously, it's a far more riskier approach. It also puts us that many of us will have to go to our boards or clients or customers or the bosses to go and tell them that this is a guy who has not done anything so far, but holds far more potential to do this. It requires more effort, but I think we are wanting to do. Have we done enough? No, I think we want to do more on that space, but some of the examples here put in just to say what I mean. Thukra Ke Mera Pyar was a runaway success on Jiostar. It was done by Sachin Pandey, who was almost a first timer given an opportunity to do this, because he's an amazing job. Taza Khabar, again, coming from moving someone from the digital Bhuvan Bam to OTT show was a big deal. Again, a new face, new bet to be taken. And a show MTV Hustle, again an opportunity and a platform to create for rappers. Many of us, again, because of I Am the World phenomena, I also didn't know too much about how the rapping world is, because I am also the culprit of I Am the World phenomena. But the show is amazing. The show is a sensation whenever it runs. We have run 3-4 seasons and it's done really well. So it's important that we make efforts to provide opportunity, and we are making that effort. Again, the third last part on this piece is it's very important that we deliver content cutting across the screens. Not devices, but consumers is important. If we look at and we are making an attempt, and we are seeing some of the green shoot success, that more you think in today's world when 500 million of users are there on digital and there are 900 million viewers are on television and social media will be somewhere in the middle or around that numbers, it means in a country of 1.4 billion, the intersection of all these people is very high, right? It's very, very simple that I go home and a consumer go home and watches with his family something on television. Next day when he wakes up and he is going to office, he checks something on the social media. Maybe sometime later in the day, he checks something on an OTT platform, and on the coming Friday, he goes out with his family to watch a movie which he has heard about that it's exciting on the social media platform which he has scanned through in the day. So all this thing can happen to the same consumer. Hence, it's important when the consumer, there will be only little consumers who will be digital only or a TV only or a cinema only. And there is going to be a huge intersection of the consumers. It's very important that we think fairly screen agnostic. For example, just to give you, we launched a show called Laughter Chef last year. That's been a runaway success, both on all mediums. It has the most watched show, non-fiction show on the television for all episodes. It is the most watched show on the Jiostar app. Jiostar app, as you all know, is a very, very large app with numbers which are upwards of 250 million subscribers, and the daily active users very, very large. It has been the top most watched show on the Jiostar after the merger. And it has 2 billion views on the social media, because as someone, just before this discussion, someone pointed out that there's an opportunity of cutting the same content in smaller bites and putting, right? And that content gets consumed on the social media, which gives us 2 billion impressions on a show like this. So our endeavor is that we look for more opportunities like this. We look at screen agnostic and we look at more opportunities. Similarly, is Jolly LLB, a movie which works on theater, is coming up in the Jolly LLB 3 is coming on 18th of September. Earlier seasons have showed us that the movie works across all platforms. We are looking forward in the same direction. Similarly, Anupama, the show which has been the most watched television show, is one of the top most watched show on digital as well. And if you talk about the conversation which it drives on any social medium, it garners huge level of visibility. So I think that's the approach and effort we are making. And we look forward for all of your support in making our vision and also in efforts a success. And I wanted to use this opportunity to express to all of you that the future demands boldness, and it is upon us that we make great pieces of content and we innovate. Let's dare again. Thank you, everyone.